Welcome back. So for this video, we are going to go through step 10 of your logo and branding project. And for this, you should have already created your whole concept of your brand. You started off with filling out a branding information page, which led you to a mood board, which led you to designing a logo, which is the real bulk of this project. Now for step 10, we are going to take your final logo and we are going to put it in a nice, neat package with your color scheme and a few different products as your final branding pitch. So essentially, if you were a graphic designer and you were trying to work for any startup company or any company at all, you would want to have something clean and professional like you see here. Here's one that I created and that I'll walk you through how I created. But you would want to have something like this where you can clearly display the logo on a few different products that would be appropriate to whatever that brand is. So my Safely Sweet brand is all about these scented masks for kids. And so I designed a couple different masks. And then I also went ahead and put it on like a little spray bottle because that's where the scent would come from. And then you should also have your color scheme clearly on there, okay? So I'm gonna walk you through how to get from just your logo to this nice finished one and give you some ideas of what you can do for yours. And then that's it. You're gonna submit that with your final reflection and I'm really excited to see it. So let's go ahead and jump back into Illustrator where I have my logo completely designed. That's what I did for steps 1 through 9. So make sure you go back and look at those if you missed that. And now we are going to, first let's clean up this color scheme. Right now the color scheme is pretty messy. It's just like a snip of the colors I found online. So I'm gonna set that aside. And I like to do little circles. I think it looks really nice, but you can use any shape. So here is my rectangle. If I right click on that, I can get to an ellipse tool. If I want it to be a perfect circle, I can hold down Shift and then click and drag. And there's one. Then if I go up to my selection tool, I can click on it and then I can just control and copy and paste it on there. And I have 6 different colors on here. So I'm gonna do it 6 times. So copy and then paste 1. We'll move that down. A little easy way to do it is just to now get both of these, copy, paste. Now I have a couple of them. And then we'll do that one more time. Paste. All right, and so I need to make sure I have room for all of these. So I think I'm gonna have to move these a little bit. Notice there's little guidelines that should help you make sure that they're lining up, which is super handy. Okay, so it needs to move down. And then I can even just click and grab all those, move it down so that I have room for this one up here. And it's still not quite perfect, so we're gonna adjust just a little bit. Oops. Okay. Pull that all down. Looks pretty good. If I think maybe it's too big, I can always just kind of do this. Make it a little bit smaller. Okay, now I need to change the colors of these. So hopefully you remember, we're going to use our eyedropper tool. So I already had this top blue on there, so I'm good to go on that. This light blue, I actually altered just a little bit in mine, so I'm gonna pull it from my logo. So if you altered anything, make sure you're pulling from your logo. There we go. And I'm gonna click on that. So if you click on your shape, then grab your eyedropper tool, it'll change it. So back to click on the next shape. Eyedropper tool is eye. Oh, I guess I can just go over here now. Good. And then if I want to select the next one, I'm going to go to V. Back to I. V to click on my shape. I to grab the pink. V to click on my new shape. to grab the pink. So there we go. So all I did was use the selection tool to click each one, and then the eyedropper tool to click on my other colors like I have here. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna use the selection tool to select that and delete it because I don't need it anymore. It looks way cleaner in these circles. But now I need to create some products, which is a little bit trickier. And so you need to think about, what do you want to design for this? What kind of products would be appropriate? Do you want to do a t-shirt? Do you want to do a water bottle? Do you want to do a candle label? I don't know. And so I'm just going to pop on over here, and I'm just going to find blank kids, or I think what I did is I actually did light pink kids face mask, and then pop into my images and then look to see if there's like a nice simple one that I could use. So I'm just kind of looking through, try and choose things that are a little more flat, or at least flat on part of it, because then when you put the label on it, it's not going to look strange. Like if you're trying to put it on something that's super round and you put a flat image on it, it's going to look kind of strange. There are ways to address that, but we're not going to get into that for this project. So try and find things that have like flat surfaces. I don't know what that is, but it had a flat surface. So this one would be a great example. I think I used, let's see if I can find one like I used, kind of like that, but I don't want the rhinestones on it. This one would work as fine as well. I could also just do blank white face mask, would be fine. Sometimes when you click on them, you see more options. Nope, not on there. There we go. This one looks pretty good. It's not the one I used before, but I think it looks pretty good. So I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to just right click, copy the image, and I'm going to drop it in here. Oops, and it's huge. So let me zoom out, Control minus. And then I can hold down Shift to just make it smaller. I can Control plus. Okay, let's see if I can get the shape. It might be a little tricky with that part here, but let's try it out. So I'm going to try and do my auto trace to vectorize this, just like I've done a bunch when I was creating my logo. So I'm going to Window, I'm going to Image Trace. I don't need it to be black and white because I have a colored image. I want to see the tracing result, but I also want to see the outlines. Oh, and it's defaulting to that, so let's adjust that. Sometimes this takes a minute or two. Ooh, it's working really hard right now. That's when you just drink your coffee for a minute. Okay, let's look at tracing result with outlines. Looks pretty good. Works for me. So I can use this. I'm going to go ahead and click expand. And then I'm going to ungroup it so I can get rid of the white around it. So there's like this little white piece right here that I don't need. And there's this big white background. But now, if I click on all of this, I can now regroup that, and I have this lovely little mask. I might want to make it more of this pinky color. So let's see, let's just play and see what happens when I just click on that. And that looks fine. There's like a little part right there that I could fix. But overall, it looks pretty good. So there is one mask for me. Now I want to just take my logo and just put it on this, okay? Very simple, easiest way to approach this. So first thing I need to do is I need to make sure my whole logo is grouped. So I'm going to click over all of it. I'm going to go down here to my quick actions and click group. Then I'm going to Control C and Control V to copy and paste a new one. And then if I hold down Shift, I can size it down considerably, move it down here, I can adjust it so it looks like it fits on here now. Just adjusting until I like it. And that looks pretty cute. Okay, so there is one product that has my brand on it. So let's say you want to create a pattern. If you look at my finished one, you'll notice I created this really sweet pattern on here, right? Patterns are actually pretty easy. It's something that I teach in design and draw quite often once you get comfortable with Illustrator. So I'm going to quickly show you how to create a pattern and how to apply it to a mask, okay? So first thing I need to do is I just need to have a blank mask ready to go. So I'm going to copy, paste, so I have another mask. And now pattern is not a requirement, but it's easy. It looks really nice. And so if you want to do that for a logo, you can get some extra creativity points. So if I want to create this pattern, first thing I'm going to do is I need some kind of background if I don't want it to be white on my pattern. So I'm just going to come up here. I'm going to right click and grab a rectangle. So I'm just creating my pattern somewhere on here. And then I'm going to eyedropper that blue because I think I want the blue as the background. Perfect. That's my background for my pattern. In fact, I might even do that, make it more of a square. Okay, then let's say for my pattern, I just want to use these fruits, okay? And so if that's what I want to do, I first need to be able to grab, copy, and paste some of this fruit out of here. So I'm going to ungroup it. I'm going to just kind of grab, there we go. If I select just a little bit, I can copy and paste it, and then I can set it in there. And that's really all you need to make a pattern. Let's say I want my pattern to kind of go back and forth. Then I can just copy and paste it again. Oops. Copy and paste it again. Pull it over. Kind of spin it around a little bit. So I'm having a little more fun with it. There we go. I don't know what this little piece is. Must be something in there that I didn't mean to have. There we go. And this is kind of fun. I can work with this. Maybe I want to do like a couple small strawberries, so copy and paste, and then just scale it down. And maybe kind of spin that one, copy and paste. Maybe just spin this one this way. It's kind of fun to play with these. Okay. So this looks pretty good. So now all I need to do is I need to just select, oop, I don't want to select that part. I don't want to select this. So I'm just going to select everything in here. And then I'm going to go up to Object. So watch closely, Pattern, Make. Okay, so I'm taking the object I have selected, creating a pattern, I want to make that. That's going to pull me up in this pattern panel. So what I was working on is still there, totally fine, but it's allowing me to now create my own pattern that's going to be added to the swatches. Super cool, right? The first thing I want to do is I want to come over here and I want to name it. So this is the Safely Sweet Fruit. It gives me options of how I want these to look next to each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of Control minus to zoom out. And I'm going to kind of play with it. Brick, column. How close is it? I want them to be pretty close. Until you like it. If you don't want quite as much space around it, then what you can do is you can click on this and you can kind of drag that. Oh, that's the wrong part. There we go. If we click on size tile to art and then you can drag it in, make it a little tighter. That looks pretty cool. So now this is essentially my pattern. Looks awesome. So I am going to come up here. I am going to be done with this. So I'm going to do done. And now I have this pattern in my swatches. So over here, if you click on this little button, or if I go up to Windows Swatches, either one would work. I already have it up. Now anything I click will turn into that pattern. So here, if I click on that and then I click here, there's my pattern. Pretty cool, huh? Then I can just get rid of this stuff because I don't need it anymore. So I'm just highlighting it and deleting it. I'm going to take all of this stuff and I'm going to just make it smaller so I have more room. Notice it like moves with the pattern. Kind of tricky, but pretty cool. And now I'm ready. So that's really all I would have to do is just create 2 different products, and using the patterns, pretty cool. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to take it a step further and I'm going to show you how to create 1 different kind of product, okay? So I'm going to end up with 3 products like you see here. I wanted to create something that's like essentially this spray bottle that would have the scents in it. So I'm going to go back to good old Google and I'm going to look for a blank spray bottle. And I want, if you do template, sometimes that's a little easier. You want something that doesn't have any watermarks on it, like here, okay? We're trying to avoid the watermarks. So something more like this, where it's just clean and done. In fact, I actually really like this one. So I'm just gonna copy that one in. This one would be really cool because it already has like a nice blank spot on it for me. This looks kind of like the one I did, but that one has a watermark, so I wouldn't use it. So lots of different options on here. All right, so I'm just gonna use this one though. I'm gonna pop back over. Go back to the one I was working on. I'm gonna control paste it in. It's giant, so I'm gonna click shift, scale it down. There we go. So once again, I'm gonna image trace. I can either go up to window and image trace, or I can just come over here to my quick actions and image trace. It has more details to it. So I'm actually, you can just click default. Actually, let's try default and see what happens. Oh, yeah, I don't like that. So up here, I'm gonna go to Windows, Image Trace, and pull up that options so that I can adjust this. So I need to be able to see the outlines. And I don't just want it to be black and white. Mine's more grayscale. There we go, now we're seeing more. In fact, I think I'm gonna pop it into color just so we can get some more details. And I think that's looking a lot better than what it did before. So let's try it, expand. Looks great. I'm going to ungroup just long enough to be able to delete this background part. You guys remember there's this like weird background. And then I'm gonna click on it again and group it back together. And then I can just kind of adjust it so it looks nice on my board. Looks good. And finally, I can just take that logo I already have and I can adjust it on here however I like. I kind of like it going up and down, something a little different. Looks great. I can reposition this because you want it all to be nice and neat on here. So I'm going to regroup this together in my quick actions. I'm going to kind of pull this stuff down. So I'm really just making sure that I'm filling up this space on my artboard. Okay. And there we have it. It's done. Now, if your artboard still continues, I didn't realize I still had more down here. If you, there's actually an option over here called Artboard Tool, which is also Shift-O. And that'll allow you just to kind of drag it up so that you don't have that extra stuff on there. And then you can click off of it. And then you're totally done. When you're done and you want to save it, you can go to File. You can just save it as normal, which will take a second, so I probably shouldn't have clicked that. There we go. And then you can go to File, Export, Export As, and export it as a JPEG so that it's just an image that you can then very easily copy and paste. You don't have to try and snip this in. So if I go into my graphic design folder where I just had that, or here it is in my recent files, you can see it's now just an image, all ready to go. Cool, cool. All right, that's it. Turn it in, fill out your self-reflection. It's your last big project. All you have left is your portfolio. Have fun.